Good luck to all of the students who are about to get their results mid-August. If, unfortunately, you miss out on your conditions, do not worry. Naseem Khan Consultancy is based in Pakistan. We're going to have some of the top institutions sitting in our office to give you offers through clearing. Please make sure you get in touch with us early because universities have limited spots and there's a time crunch involved as well. If you do better than expected, you don't have to stick to your firm or insurance institution. You can apply through clearing and adjustment and potentially get into better institutions. Best of luck. If you need any help, Naseem Khan Consultancy is here for you. Welcome to Going Global with Naseem Khan Consultancy. Today we have an exceptional guest with us, Ahmed Khan. Ahmed Bhai is an innovator. He has led multiple companies globally and in Pakistan. He is the CEO of the Punjab Skills Development Fund currently. He's led McKinsey, Rocket Internet, and Procter & Gamble. Ahmed Bhai, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and hopefully sharing your insights, your experience with our audience.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I'd like to start off with your early academic journey, with your time at Aitchison, at LUMS, and at Cambridge. Can you talk to us about how this academic journey has helped shape your development and your experiences?
Okay. So look, the names you've taken are sort of elite privileged schools, right? So I've been very blessed to have had the opportunity to go to sort of, elite schools. Elite schools sort of, what they do is they obviously, there's academic rigor. So, you sort of perform well academically, but they give you a lot of opportunity to do other things. So in my case, I was very passionate about sports. So if I were to track my journey, whether it was at, school, college, university, I've always done well at sports and I've played like as many as I could and as well as I could, right? So I think, the shaping of the academic journey is linked to not just the academics, but, the overall experience of education. So I think my sort of path has been really sort of augmented by all the other stuff I did or was given the opportunity to do while going through all of this.
Okay. So I want to put you in the seat of a counselor and I want you to talk to young students who aren't really sure about what they want to study, but they want to study the course that is right for them.
Okay.
And they want to go to a top school like Cambridge.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them when they're starting off?
So, there are all kinds of people, right? So one advice is not valid for everyone. So if the child or the young student knows exactly what they want to study, whether it's because, they have a family legacy in that, sort of field, or whether they're super passionate about it, that's an easy one, right? You just tell them to follow their dreams and follow their goals. For most students, especially someone like me, we're not sure what we want to do, right? We want to explore. So I think if you keep a very broad-based sort of subject curriculum, that'll help you sort of defer that decision. So, in O levels, take math and bio, right? That opens up a lot of fields. Don't take art or sort of other subjects that, again, there's nothing wrong with it if you know, but it doesn't sort of, it starts limiting your, sort of your options later on. At the undergrad level, study economics or computer science or, sort of a broad engineering degree, not a very specific engineering degree. Study political science rather than, philosophy. Because again, what that does is it sort of leaves the option open to do that. I think the real time when you have to decide is when you do your master's, right? Because by that time, you're sort of pot committed. So yeah, keep it broad, keep experimenting. If something doesn't work out, change quickly.
So we're in a position, we've got a lot of students who are in a position where they've potentially completed their undergrad, they've come back and they're working in, either they feel that it's a bit of a mundane position or they're working for their family business where they feel that they're not growing. So what advice would you give them where you feel that, they actually feel that they're a little stuck?
Yeah, look, being stuck is okay, first of all, right? Everyone goes through these phases. Like, who is sure about, where they want to be? Like, I know we all ask our 5-year plan, 10-year plans, what do you want to be when you grow up? But it's not easy, right? And you change your mind. I think the idea is that, keep exploring, keep your options open. The reason I went back to, do a master's was because I was working for a family business and I wanted to do something else. So I thought, okay, let me just go back to university and explore. I also wanted to play sports again. So, for me, that's how sort of my decision making went. So I think the advice is very simple that, if you want to go back to college, pick a field. So there are two reasons why you go, right? Either to do something different or because you're stuck and you can't elevate yourself. So those are sort of the two big reasons why you go back for a master's or a higher degree. Mm-hmm. So if that's where your problem is, then please explore and do it.
So you got into entrepreneurship quite early, comparatively. Mm-hmm. What drove you towards that direction?
So again, as a second generation entrepreneur, it's a lot easier, right? What I did later on was sort of first generation, where I set up companies and did it for myself. For me, my first sort of job was working at a multinational, and not just a multinational. It's probably the top multinational in the country. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to have some structured learning from how the best companies operate, right? I didn't want to just go into, a family business where I don't know what I'm talking about. I'll just have to follow the way things are being done. So I wanted to have a knowledge base with which to attack problems in a new and innovative way. So for me, going to working first at sort of a top company gave me that confidence and that knowledge and sort of that way of learning that, okay, if I have a problem, how do I solve it? So for me, that part was very important.
So working at top companies like McKinsey, how does that, number one, give you a stronger network? And has that network been helpful moving forward? And then how does it help you develop strategies for, let's say, even running businesses or startups moving forward?
So there are a few things that these sort of opportunities bring with them. One is structured problem solving, right? Especially when you do consulting, you sort of learn how to see a problem you've never seen before and attack it in a structured way. And then the next thing it teaches you is how to communicate that solution. Okay? So it's not just important to solve the problem. You also have to articulate it in a way that is going to be helpful and will lead to impact. So that's very important. The other thing sort of, these things bring is branding. So, you work for a top company, you walk into a room and you'll say, hey, I've worked for this company. All of a sudden, you've got instant sort of, street cred, right? Okay. People are like, okay, he probably knows what he's talking about. The third thing, like you mentioned, is the network. The alumni of that institution and the current people at that institution are very, very helpful, and they can open doors and provide opportunities that normally you can't. So right now, if I have a problem, I just reach out to the Cambridge, Oxford alumni, whether it's in Pakistan or globally, and someone knows someone who can connect me, and at least we can have a foot in the door. So these things really make a difference, especially in a country like Pakistan, where it's all about networks, it's all about who you know. Things get done by who you know and not how good you are, right? So
there's obviously that pushes a lot of individuals and yourself in, let's say, even a smaller bracket than the 1%. What about all of those other students who haven't graduated from Cambridge or who haven't had the opportunity yet to work for some of these top organizations? In order to develop their network, what advice wowould you give them?
Yeah, so look, building a network is not as difficult as people make it out to be, right? There are enough forums, there are enough sort of, seminars. You have LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great platform. So all you need to do is you have to know who you want to network with. You reach out to 10 people, 2 will respond, go meet them. They will introduce you to 4 other people. And that's sort of, how it snowballs. Like, it's a very established formula. So you have to put in effort, right? But there are enough nice people and enough people who are passionate about growing the talent pool that we have. People reach out to me on LinkedIn all the time. The ones who are pushing sales, I don't respond to, but the ones who are looking for advice, I always respond to, right? So, obviously I have a busy day, managing a public sector company, other things that I like to do with my time, but anyone who's seeking advice or help, is sort of a priority for me to respond to.
Okay. Well, I know you're extremely busy, so I also wanted to thank you for taking the time out today.
And it's my pleasure. I think this is important.
So now you stepped away from your professional journey. I don't know if you stepped away, but you invested a lot of time into academia. You taught students at LUMS, you taught students at FC College. Can you talk a little bit about your experience there within academia, and how did you bring your professional journey and sort of inspire young students?
So look, while we were growing up, there's one real missing element, at least in my journey. I felt like I didn't have any mentors, or I didn't have any role models to follow. As a young child, if someone asks you, who's your role model? The only name that comes up is probably Quaid-e-Azam, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, right? There's no other sort of, universal role model like. So, we were never introduced to people like Sayyid Babar Ali, or, Mr. Razak Dawood, or, CM Latif, or the Karachi big businessman, Mr. Dawood, Hussain Dawood. So my sort of reason for going into academia was twofold. One, I felt like I need to introduce people to role models. I need to inspire them by introducing them to our local heroes. The other thing was I've always felt that the way we are taught things is very, very old school. Like, it's so traditional, and learning and pedagogy has changed and evolved so much. And I feel like our education system has not evolved enough. So for example, we're still taught from textbooks. I prefer experiential learning. Right. So I'm not saying that textbooks and regular academia is not important, but I think KG, from as well as academics, you need to bring people from industry to sort of add that flavor into it. So yeah, sort of my reason for getting into it was to sort of provide the industry flavor.
So you talked a little about role models, and I think this is an important topic to touch on. Who were some role models who helped shape your journey, and have you been in a position where you have guided someone, like, let's say, setting up a business, let's say, who's currently in academia, and what kind of impact did they have on them? You don't have to take names, but I'd just like some
No, I think I've been blessed, to have a lot of senior people guide me on my journey. Whether they're relatives, whether they're people I've worked with, and who are seniors in the organization, whether they were my teachers, whether they were people I met randomly on the street. I'm one of those people who sort of builds relationships, right? Even if I meet someone on the street, I try to find some common ground and try to strike a conversation, and make it a point that, okay, how can we connect in future if ever needed. I feel like I've been very, very fortunate to have the opportunity to do that for others as well. I feel very proud of the fact, there's so many people out there who I feel like, I've helped in their journeys. Again, without naming names, there are people at McKinsey, there are people at Google, there are people who've set up businesses, or, just generally feel better after a conversation. So again, maybe I'm being egotistical, but the feedback I get is people remember me fondly after conversations. So maybe.
So I mean, even a personal experience I can relate to. This was a number of years ago, but when I was applying to university, I had my application ready and I was a little unsure about it. And that's when I reached out to you, and you turned around and said, if I was a university, I would never accept it. And you put it on the side. Okay. And even though you were really busy at that time, you took time out and you helped me really structure my application. And I ended up getting offers from all of my institutions. So I can vouch for that.
Chalo, one success story.
So I wanted to ask you, what motivated you to join Rocket Internet as MD for Asia and Europe? And how did that role expand your global perspective on tech and business?
So look, I was running a family business, and it was going quite well. At that time, it was an interesting thing that happened. So we were in the textile socks business, right? We used to manufacture and export. The largest sock company in the world at that time got sold, and it got sold for like $400 million. Like, this is a company that had hundreds of thousands of employees. Like, they used to operate in 20 countries. They had plants all over the world. They used to import and export all over the world. And, like third generation or fourth generation company. And they got sold for $400 million. At that same time, WhatsApp was acquired by Facebook. Like, it's Meta now, and that was for, I forget the exact number, it was between 13 and $16 billion, a company of 40 people. And I remember that was sort of an aha moment or that light bulb moment where I was like, okay, I'm in the wrong business, right? So I need to do something which is tech. So that was sort of the initial motivation. And while I was thinking about this, the rocket opportunity sort of landed literally in my lap. So I was thinking about it and it came. So it just seemed like it was, so almost, a godsend and, sort of a sign that this is what I should be doing.
So for young children who want to get into business and technology, what advice would you have if they're targeting either growing their own organization or targeting the top organizations like Meta?
So look, if we want to get a little technical on this, there are two things that are very important, right? One is the size of the market you're trying to tap. Okay? Nothing determines your sort of your profitability more than how big the market is, and sort of not just profitability, your success. So if you're going to attack something, attack a big market. The other thing that sort of is going to be crucial to your success or failure is the total margin in that channel. Okay? So if you're going to operate in a very low margin business, then you have to be supremely competitive and very, very stringent on cost. So it's always better to attack a large market, potentially a large market. That doesn't have to be yours, but it has to be out there with a good gross margin. And then you can really succeed, right? So I think, for kids who are trying to get into it, they spend a lot of time, sort of doing fun stuff and thinking that, okay, what excites them, what they're passionate about, which is great. But you also have to look at what the market is doing, right? And where there's opportunity in the market. So, without that, you're going to suffer.
Okay. And can you talk about a business who's done that well? So a startup in Pakistan who's actually targeted the right industry in the niche way that they should?
Yeah, again, Pakistani startup scene has very few success stories, right? Gaddy Tech is one that comes to mind, right? They attacked a global market. They developed a product locally, but they attacked a global market, right, with a good profit margin, and they were able to scale and profitably scale, right? So businesses like that are always going to do well.
Okay. And I feel that a lot of young kids are scared of failure or the concept of failure or getting it wrong. What would you say to someone who is a little concerned that they might get it wrong or their business won't pick up, or maybe they're not doing well at the institution that they stand? What would your advice to them be?
Look, that one hits hard, right? Because, we set up Cheetay, we raised a lot of money. At that time, it was the largest sort of, fundraise in Pakistan's history. We had to shut it down a couple of years ago. Yes, I guess in many ways you could look at it as a failure, whether it was our failure, market failure, who cares, right? At the end of the day, as a 40-something-year-old, my sort of entire life savings, my entire life's work was shut down. So, but look at me here. I'm heading a large public sector organization and creating massive impact, for low end sort of marginalized communities who don't have other opportunities. So you can always pick yourself up, right? I think in the startup world, we stopped using the word failure and we started calling it pivoting. So, it's just an inflection point, right? Something ends and you just start something new. You always have the energy. You always have people to support you. If you don't, then, find those people. But failure is a mindset, right? Because there's always other opportunities. There's no sort of permanent failure. So just get up and, there's so many cliches around this. Like, you don't lose when you get knocked down. You lose when you refuse to get up and fight again. Like, there's that Urdu sher ke girte hain shah sawar hi maidane jang mein, wo tifl kya gire jo kutno ke bal chale, right? So the people who fail are the ones who tried. The people who don't fail are the ones who never tried, right? So at least you should have that confidence. At least you had the guts to, try something which, sort of people with less risk appetite have not tried. So sorry, I feel a little passionate about this.
I completely agree with you on that. I think it's important to be very clear-headed and also step back and understand why it didn't work out and then take the next step again.
Yeah. And look, there's another thing, right? the limitations, right? Life happens, markets happen. So maybe the failure is yours, maybe you took some bad decisions, but maybe it's bad luck. So it's sort of, I never think, KG, it's one person's prerogative to fail. Something just went wrong, right? So, just try something else. And it's just the law of statistics and law of averages, right? You fail enough times, you'll have a success, right? Even, the worst sort of players in history have, a few good innings in them, right? So just try that.
I wanted to get your perspective on something which a lot of youngsters and young students come up to me. So going abroad and completing your international education has become quite expensive. It's not what it used to be. And a lot of students and parents have the concept that, is it worth it? What would your insights on that be? Because it is a huge amount of money that they are investing. And in order to get and if they do decide to invest it, what's the way they can get the best out of it?
Look, as someone who went on scholarships and sort of had to pay only a fraction of his, even at LUMS, I was only paying a very small fraction. At Cambridge, I had a full scholarship. I was on the Commonwealth scholarship. So it's my opinion is going to be a little biased, but I think at the end of the day, you have to calculate ROI, right? And ROI isn't just numbers. ROI is about opportunity. If you don't sort of go to a good university or get an advanced degree, your opportunities might be limited. Right? So you have to look at it as not just, okay, will I be able to earn more money if I invest this? It's also, will I be able to grow intellectually? Will I be able to sort of, think about things differently? So it's not just about, growing your career. It's also about you as an individual, the information you get, the sort of, the things you learn from peers, the exposure. I don't think you can place a price on that, right? At the end of the day, money is money, right? You can always earn it later. Why do we save? To spend on things that we love, right? I think sort of a very desi mentality is save for what? To build a house, to, pay for a marriage. Nobody sort of saves to do the fun stuff. Like, I would love to just, spend on intellectual experiences. If I were to save money, I would love to do things that I'm passionate about, not just spend on basic infrastructure. And then the other thing we say for, okay, I will leave it for the kids. You grow enough, you will teach them the right things. They'll be able to earn themselves. You don't really need to, again, this is my opinion, right? KG, I think spending on education is sort of the best uses of any savings or any sort of money that you have.
So I do know that you had lots of experiences abroad and in exceptional organizations, and you had the opportunity to work there as well and settle there. Why didn't you?
Yeah, so look, one of the things that growing up that hit me hard was, we grew up in sort of a joint family system, right? My brother went abroad, he never came back. My sister went abroad, she never came back. 3 cousins went abroad. Actually, 4 of them went abroad, never came back. 2 of them went and did come back. We've got another one who went abroad and is still there. So so that sort of started it. Why aren't people coming back, right? Sort of it starts thinking. Then, my class at Aitchison, all the top students, who did well, got better opportunities abroad. At LUMS, most of my class who were very good academically or, at their work, they went abroad. So I got to thinking, what's the missing link? And the missing link is people who don't have legacy here and, don't get the same opportunities. So the only people who come back are people who have family businesses or, have sort of a very defined career path that they want to follow. This is not a place to explore opportunities, it's tough. So my sort of reason for coming back was, I'm so sick of this brain drain that is affecting us. If the best people leave, then that just leaves the politicians and their children, the privileged elite to run the country, and then they make suboptimal decisions. So my reason for coming back was always, okay, how can we change this? Like, okay, I'm one person, but I'm going to come back. I'm going to do something which enables other people to at least have that opportunity. So, when we started Daraz with Rocket Internet, my main reason was tech is a great equalizer. So if I were to be able to set up a whole new industry or a whole new ecosystem, that will hopefully give people, the opportunity to come back and try something similar. And it worked, right? You have Bazaar, you have other companies that were set up by people who moved back from abroad. So yeah, very proud of at least that part.
And if, let's say, a policymaker was listening to this, what advice would you give them?
Look, policy makers, have their own agendas, right? If they were to think about the country and what's good for the country and, the majority of the citizens, so it's not a one-day decision. You have to make a 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, 30-year plan. So my advice would be, and there are enough success models out there. You can look at Bangladesh, you can look at China, you can look at Indonesia, Malaysia. Sort of policy making is not that hard, right? And policy making by its very nature is iterative, right? You try something, it doesn't work, you quickly change and you adapt. So my thing is, Kiji, look at the market, look at where we stand right now, and think about, Kiji, unless we set up industry, unless we use this massive workforce that we have, unless we skill them, give them the right skills, give them the right opportunities, we will not be able to grow our economy. Our biggest problem right now is the fact that our economy is not growing, and we need an export economy, right? Because there's so much stuff that we import. So it's not very difficult to just sit down, set up 3 priority areas, set up 4 priority sectors, and make the right regulations so that international donors and foreign direct investment flows in, set up the right legal structure so that their money is secure, and just get on with it. There's literally no new advice to give on this. It's just standard.
So now, as the CEO of Punjab Skills Development Fund, what is your vision for integrating skill development within the broader needs of the current economy?
So look, I feel like our education system is severely lacking, right? We have the private institutes that sort of, do well. We ran some numbers on this, right? We have a school-going population of around 100 million. Okay. Out of that 100 million, we have probably capacity for about 20 million, right? 25 million, maybe. So the rest of the people will not have an opportunity to get a higher degree. Then the people who will start school, the dropout rates are so high that by the time you graduate university, you're down to really maybe about 1 million or 2 million, right? Rough numbers, right? I could be off by a little bit, but the point is that the gap is massive. So what do you do with all these people who are sort of cannot go into the formal education system? So that's where sort of our skill development platform comes in, right? So we want to create alternate paths. It's okay. It's good that you guys got basic education or no education, but we can give you the skills that you can start generating income. You can set up businesses. We keep hearing all these fantastic stories about people who started at the grassroots level and built massive companies, but that's not the aim. The aim is that these people who are sort of reliant on the government for handouts, if we can give them some skill, we can teach them how to make a livelihood or earn some income for themselves. So sort of that's where we're thinking about it, right? And also we're trying to integrate skills into a formal education system, right? People should have basic skills like, how to change a car battery, how to, look at the engine, how to make a basic, wood carving bench. Like, why not, right? It's a helpful skill to have.
So if I'm a current student who's completed his metric and inter, and I can't really afford to go for my undergrad and I haven't got a scholarship within Pakistan or abroad, how can I get in touch with you, and what's the right way to move forward?
So look, it's not just us, right? The skill development is now a ministry or a department, as we call it. It's called the Skill Development and Entrepreneurship Department. So we've got multiple authorities under us. We've got TEFTA, we've got PVTC, we've got the Punjab Skills Development Fund. So, and we all have websites. We all have offices. Walk into the office, look at the website, reach out. We've got a call center that caters to questions. So just look at the opportunities, send us your suggestions, and we're more than happy to look at it. Our job is to provide opportunities for people like that. Urdu, Punjabi, Saraiki, whatever language you speak, we have people who are trained to sort of handhold you and guide you through the process.
Mm-hmm. I want to step back and I want to go a little bit into advice that you would give. So, and obviously take your time and think about these, but if you were to go back and have a 5-minute conversation with your younger self, what would you say?
Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. So look, like I said, I've been very privileged to, have had a lot of opportunity and, to do, I don't know whether I did well or not, but, there were different opportunities and I've tried a lot of things, right? I think, sort of what I'd like to do differently or what I wish I had known earlier is if someone had told me, look, live your own life, right? Define your own success. I think we spend too much time worrying about what society thinks of us, what Puppo is going to say, what Khala is going to say, or, look at the neighbor's son, look at him become this fantastic doctor. Why are you studying English literature? Or, why are you studying graphic design? So I think, sort of this comparison and this competition that we falsely create amongst ourselves is something I wish I was never sort of, limited by. So I'd love to tell myself, define my own success, do things because you want to do them, not because. And the other thing, sort of related to that is, okay, don't chase things that are meaningless. Like, we chase fame and money. And it sounds cliched, but what about intellectual growth? What about actually just being smart? What about developing empathy? So, we spend too much time on defining success through different KPIs, whereas we miss the experience of life. Great example is, I felt like I haven't traveled enough. I just haven't taken many vacations in life because it was always work. Qaid-e-Azam ne kaha, kaam, like, So where's the fun, right? Step back, have fun, build relationships, do things that affect and, sort of have an impact on other people. That's sort of, advice I'd love to give myself. Just take a break, man. Like, just stop.
So at times it's easier said than done. So if I'm a youngster and let's say my parents, or in this instance, my papa is putting pressure on me to go in a particular direction, but I'm uncertain and I don't want to go in that, how should I handle that?
So look, I'm not saying don't follow advice, right? These are elders, they have experience, they will give you good advice. And, if they genuinely care about you, so, you shouldn't disregard their advice. But my sort of advice or, my sort of thinking is that have your own reasons. If you're doing something just because someone told you to do it, then it's probably, then if things don't work out, then you're going to blame that person. Because I only did it because, you told me to do it. And you never fully own it. So I'm saying own your decisions and own your path, own your time. Like, do something not because it's a social obligation, not because it's, family commitment. Do it because you genuinely want to do it and makes you feel happy. Like, we have all these things. We do charity because we think we're helping people. We're not helping people. We're doing it because it makes us feel good. We can tell 4 people about it. Okay, oh, look, I did this charity. So I think it's very important that we do things and acknowledge the right reasons. So if you're going to listen to whoever you want to listen to, that's great. But own that decision and say, okay, I'm doing this because I want to. I will be fully responsible for all consequences and everything that comes out of it, the successes and the failures.
I completely agree with that because in my perspective, I've seen a lot of young students who go for courses and degrees where they have done their research, they've got their exposure, and then they've made their own choice to go for it. And irrespective what program you go for, it's going to be tough. And when it is tough, when you've made that decision yourself, I feel you fight through it.
Of course, right? Because like I said, you own it. So, yeah.
So there's another question I have. If you had 2 minutes to speak directly to the next generation of dreamers and doers in Pakistan, what would you tell them?
Oh my God, like this is going to be bad advice, right? I would tell them the same thing I would tell myself, right? Stop, take stock of life. Whatever you do, make sure that there's some impact on it. You go abroad, you stay abroad, that's fine. But please do contribute because, not just your families, not just your friends. There, the society at large that needs people who are better thinkers, like, who have real empathy. So whatever you do, like, life is short, life is finite. The legacy that you will leave is the things that you do for others. The degrees that you get, they're going to go in a box and, they're going to bury them with you or burn them or throw them in trash after you're gone. But, if you've helped people, that is the legacy that people are going to remember for generations. So, there's that aspect. The other thing is, there's hard work, right? You have to work hard. You have to work smart. There's no substitute for that. And get lucky. That's, people don't put enough value on luck. Find ways to get lucky more often. Find your luck, make your luck, because life is a little random. So you have to find ways to sort of, be in the right place at the right time when the right opportunity comes.
Ahmed bhai, thank you so much. That was very insightful. I enjoyed that conversation.
Chale.
And I think our viewers will learn it and hopefully get the best out of it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time out.
Thank you so much.